there, my name is Kiri. I'm a flower farmer here in Western Washington in Zone 8A. Today is March 27th and it is 59 degrees out, and I'm going to make the next video a little bit of a hodgepodge of about 2 weeks of work. So there's a bunch of different things that I've been working on since we finished the roadside stand and really getting ready for opening it up. I've been picking some daffodils from in front of my house and then the ones that were planted up on the retaining wall just to do some vase life tests and also to get some marketing content out there. So here is an example of something that I'm trying a little vase life test on. So these daffodils were picked on the 22nd in the evening, and today's the 27th. You really can only get about 5 days of vase life out of daffodils. It seems like the white colored daffodils are the first to go, and the multi-flowering ones actually last quite a while because they slowly open up, so that's nice. And then the double daffodil also seems to last a little better, but that's because it opens about a day or two later than the rest. All of these were picked in bud stage. That is supposed to give you the longest vase life. And then the other thing that I've been testing vase life on are these sword ferns, which are native to Washington here, and they just grow behind my house. And it's really hit or miss. Sometimes they kind of shrivel up like this, and sometimes they look okay. And I haven't figured out why that is. This was a really good learning opportunity because, first of all, I know I'm probably not going to put sword ferns in market bouquets that are supposed to last a week in the vase, maybe for like wedding work, but I'm not planning to do any of that. And the other thing too is that this is where you got to make those business decisions. So if you look at the wholesale sheet for daffodils, they sell for about 75 cents a stem. I hope I'm not mistaken on that.
So I was partially correct in this, but the thing I didn't notice was that the daffodils coming from Washington are selling for about $3.50 for 10 stems. And so to get my profit margin goal of 60%, I need to multiply that by 2.5. And so that makes it about $8.75 for a bundle of 10. And I do have a competitor near me who is selling bundles of 10 for $8.99 plus tax.
So I've got this bouquet here, which I also used for marketing purposes. But this is even like a small olive jar, not like a pasta sauce jar like I've been using. Here's one I gotta clean up. So it's a smaller mouth, obviously, and to make that look full, I need quite a few stems. Let me see. So I've got 15 stems in here to make this small jar look full. But I personally wouldn't want to pay more than $15 for that. And I also wouldn't want to pay $15 for it and then find out that it only lasts like 5 days. So something to think about there. Alright, let's head outside and let me show you some of the things I've been planting up. Yesterday and the day before, I spent quite a while planting out almost 250 seedlings. I planted out the Potomac Snapdragon, Calendula, Feverfew, Strawflower, Crispedia, Status, and some more Rudbeckia. So it's looking pretty good. The other thing I wanted to talk about is an update on the tender annuals that we sowed 2 weeks ago. So Baby's Breath, technically hardy annual, it's germinating, looking great. And the Sweet Annie is also germinating, as well as the St. John's wort and my marigolds. And then I moved my gomphrena out here. It was inside and it all germinated, but I don't have enough space on my grow lights, so I'm just going to let it grow out here, and it's been growing pretty well so far. The other thing I'm doing is I moved out half of my Mahogany Splendor hibiscus into the greenhouse 2 weeks ago, and they've been surviving very well. We haven't gotten too cold. We've gotten down to about 34, I think was the coldest it got in here, and they're doing great. I'm also working on an experiment where I'm going to sow some sunflowers in these peat pots 4 weeks before my last frost, which is pretty much now, and see how they do getting a head start versus planting them out direct seeded 4 weeks before the last frost. So that video will come out shortly, but you know, for now, just a little teaser for you. The other thing that we've been working on is expanding the driveway so that people can pull in and then access the stand. So over the past couple weeks, we've spread 10 cubic yards of crushed rock around here and then touched up the circle garden as well.
To say I had a mini heart attack would be a little bit of an understatement when I was watching this crush rock load get dumped so close to my car. We had to do it because of the power lines, but man, that was close. I woke up this morning and I saw that I had so many of the multi-flowering daffodils that were in the perfect stage of bud for harvesting and selling. So I decided to just go for it and have a pop-up sale and see how the sales would go for daffodils. I was a little bit nervous because I didn't have any foliage or anything to add in to spice up the mix, but I gave it a try.
So I did also pick some regular daffodils. Got 5 of those. And then let's see how many stems of the multi-flowering variety I got. Alright, that's a bunch of 16, which I was going to price for $15 tax included. Let's see, these are my shorter stems. Oh wow, I think I can use a full-size jar. Yes. Wow, those stems are actually a lot longer than I expected they would be. Ooh, they're dirty though. Wash, wash, wash. So my short stems are, well, there's one really shorty boy in here that's 10 inches, but the rest of these, wow, like 15, and then these ones are 18. Very cool. Slim pickings out there for regular ones. They're all pretty much bloomed out. Or there's still some coming up, but they're not even close to opening. Alright, there we go. Now we have a nice mix where I've got 2 white ones in with the yellow multi-flowering, and then I've got 2 regular ones in there. And then I trim the stems to be all even. Alright, so it's a little bit after 6 and I wanted to give you an update on how it went. So I sold 1 bouquet to my friend. So I had a lot of people looking. I could see, you know, as they drove by, they were checking it out. Somebody pulled through and looked at the stand, but no takers today. I think I'm going to take these inside and figure out what I'm going to do with them. So I recorded that bit saying I didn't sell anything, and I've got a note here that an anonymous person came through and left some money in the drop box. So I'm going to clean this up and I'll talk to you guys later. Hey there, so it's been a few days since I had my pop-up sale and I've been thinking about the pricing, and I just wanted to kind of chat with you guys about what I've come up with and my conclusion from that sale. So I was feeling a little bit self-conscious about the pricing, and this is something that I think I'm going to struggle with for quite a while. We can calculate out exactly what we think the price should be based on a formula, and that's what I did to find my pricing. So I sold 16 stems and actually threw in like 1 or 2 extra ones, but I priced that for $13.77, and then I included the tax in that, so it comes out to $15. And so that's even cheaper than the 85 cents per stem that I calculated that I should be charging to meet my profit goal and to be in line with the other flower farm who has been charging that same price for just basic daffodils. So I didn't feel confident in that, but you know, I went with it because that's what the numbers said. And the other reason why I don't feel comfortable with that is because, understanding myself as a consumer, I'm the person who wants to find either the best deal or the best value. And so I'm usually looking for the cheapest price at the highest quality. That's not how I want to run my business, and that's not the customer that I'm marketing to. So I'm not trying to sell the cheapest product for the best quality. I'm trying to sell a good product at a fair price that calculates in, you know, the sustainability, the local business, small business type, aspect. This is something that I'm going to have to spend the season working on, is getting the customer aware of the benefits of locally grown, sustainably farmed flowers, and how they're going to be different. They're going to be priced different, the quality is going to be different than something like what you find at the grocery store. And so I think that's a struggle that all of us flower farmers on the small scale are going to have to grapple with. For me, it was a little bit challenging, and especially too, I talked to my husband about this, just to get like the lay person's perspective. So I wanted to see the perspective of somebody who doesn't understand quite as much of what goes into it, or doesn't understand, what the wholesale price sheet says and what my profit margin is. So I asked him what he thought of the bouquets, and he said that they looked a little bit like dandelions, and that I should have charged $10 for a bunch. And this is something I hear that a lot of flower farmers struggle with. If you're selling direct to your end consumer through like a CSA or a roadside stand or anything like that, the customer doesn't understand what makes a bouquet last the longest and at what stage a flower should be picked at. Most people want to buy the flowers that are open and that look beautiful, right? But if you were to buy a daffodil that was open and looked like this, you're gonna get like maybe 3 days of vase life. They wouldn't be happy with that. But on the flip side, somebody might not actually buy your flowers if they're in the bud stage, because they can't visualize what it's going to look like. These are my leftover bouquets. This one here is leftover. I took the focal ones out and put it in this little one here. And of course, after I have my pop-up stand, my quince starts to flower and bud up. So I popped in a couple stems, and to me, I feel a lot more comfortable charging $15 for something like this. It looks fuller. It looks like lively and different. Again, I'm even falling a little bit prey to the fact that, I like those open flowers. Here in Washington, daffodils are like a dime a dozen. Everybody has them in their yards. So I kind of almost don't even really want to sell daffodils, but I just went for it because I had so many stems that were budding up. That also might be my own bias in that I personally don't value them that highly. But at the end of the day, what I really cared about from that pop-up stand was to get people looking at the stand. So the stand's been out at the road for the last week. I haven't put up any signage or anything, so people are probably noticing the stand, but they're like, oh, what's that? Oh, maybe that's one of their sheds or something. But then, I had it open all day on Monday, and I had people looking, and really that was the goal. So I think selling 2 out of 4 bouquets, granted it was to my friend and probably to my neighbor, is still pretty good for doing absolutely no marketing and just opening up the stand. And it even rained on Monday. It rained for like half the day with the stand open, and that, I've heard, does not bode well for trying to make sales. So I got rain, no marketing, and maybe, based on my husband's opinion, looked like it was overpriced because it was in the bud stage. But I'm just waiting patiently for the tulips. I think that is going to be the game changer, because they have a wonderful vase life, and they are very punchy. Their own foliage will fill up the vase a little bit more than just straight stems of daffodils. So I'm looking forward to that. So fingers crossed I can open up next week, but we're just gonna have to see. Alright, so that is it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.